Hey guys, Ryan with Premier. Good morning, folks. How are you? So today we're going to pick apart someone else's work. This is a great story. This is a fantastic story. You're going to love it. So we are out at a school that I will leave nameless. Okay? So we're out at this school, and a couple years ago we came to do an estimate on the basketball court, and we did it. Gave them an estimate, and then they said, hey, we have this playground area, and if you have any leftover material, could you put it over there? And I said, yeah, sure. But the basketball court itself was really messed up, and it took four coats basically to get it where it needed to be, and that extra coat was the coat that we probably would have put on this. But they did want to hire us. They said, well, we really like the work that you did on the basketball court. Can you price really doing a good job over on the playground? I said, yeah, sure. So we actually had a contest, not really a contest, but we kind of had this contest with the guys and who could come up with the best idea, because I sent them pictures of the basketball mural that we did in Oxford, and I said, hey, I got a bunch of leftover colors. Would you allow us to get creative and do something like this with the court? And yeah, he came back and was like, yeah, you did a great job over there. I trust your judgment. Have at it. The world is your canvas. So I was like, cool, So there were some cracks that needed to be filled. Some pretty big ones. Let's see. And we were going to do it with membrane repair, the whole 9 yards. So this is, I'm going to come from this side. So take a look at this. They just went over it with a patch binder product. All right. So there was that. It kind of went all around the edge here. Just really looks like crap. So yeah, we were going to kind of do this Finding Nemo thing, where we were going to kind of paint this to look like a blue, like a fish tank, and then we were going to put some fish in there, and that was our plan, So it came time. The guys, it's turn on the schedule, and hold on. Let me digress a little bit here. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, can you see? I don't know if this is going to come through, but you see how porous this is? This is basically just painted asphalt, right? I mean, this is basically just painted asphalt. I mean, look at this. This is patch binder. This is just chunks of hard stuff that didn't get mixed in well enough, and that happens to us all the time. I'm not really picking that apart, but you can kind of see how porous this whole thing is. Well, if we did this court, our plan was to fix all the cracks using right way membrane repair, and then we were going to coat the whole thing in acrylic resurfacer, which would have gotten rid of all of these porous areas, and give it that uniformed look. And then we were going to paint it accordingly, kind of like the Finding Nemo thing, So, yeah. So it came its time on the schedule to come do this job. I reached out to the customer yesterday and said, hey, just a heads up, we're going to be coming tomorrow to start the playground, and we'll have it wrapped up by the weekend. And I didn't hear anything back, but I emailed the group again and said, hey group, I was only texting one guy, my contact, Jeff, and he didn't answer. So I sent it to the a bunch of people an email, he answered me back, said, yeah, no problem. I'm going to take a little walk here. And so the guys show up this morning. Now, I had to go to, well, I didn't have to, but I went to Guns N' Roses last night. And it was awesome. It poured for half of the concert. I was soaking wet, like somebody threw me in a pool, but it was like the best time. It was awesome. See all these people just in the rain, loving it. And yeah, so I got up. I didn't meet the crew this morning. I got up at like 6:30, got my stuff together, had to go meet somebody, and then I get a call or a post from Ricky, and Ricky's like, hey, like, dude, we're here, and somebody already did the court. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, like, are we in the wrong place? Like, this is where we're supposed to be, right? He sends me a picture. I'm like, yeah, that's it. So then I call my contact, Jeff, and I'm like, hey, like, dude, my guys are there. They're trying to do the court. And they're saying that it's already done. So he's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah. So he starts like sending me pictures, you know, of these cracks that were by the basketball court that didn't get filled. And he's like, you know, you guys got to fill. I go, yeah. Look, we're filling those cracks. At the same time, we fill the cracks over on the playground. And he's like, oh, hold on, there's some kids here. They probably don't want to be recorded. So you had these cracks right here. And these were left over from when we originally did this basketball court over that I'm on right now. So there's a company, we'll call them, well, the name rhymes with New England Seal Coating. So New England Seal Coating was originally supposed to do this job, but for whatever reason they couldn't get here in time or something, and basically ghosted the customer. So the customer reached out to us. I came out for a meeting with them, and the guy, I was with a little bit more money, but the guy liked my presentation, liked my approach, especially to the crack filling, and said, I'm going to go with you. So there were some 4 squares and some hopscotches that were part of it. And so this is where the story gets interesting. So Jeff says he showed up last week, and he thought it was people from my company. They were here filling these cracks right here. So Jeff came up to him and was like, what do you're filling the cracks? And the guy says, yeah, and then we're going to paint it. And Jeff said, well, what do you mean you're going to paint it? You can't paint this. Like, you're not painting this. Like, what you have to paint is over on the other side of the school. And he's like, you might want to call your boss because you're definitely in the wrong spot. So the guys said, oh, well, the square footage is kind of the same. He's like, yeah, the square footage might be the same, but you're in the wrong spot. So he takes them over to the side and shows them where they're supposed to be doing their job, and they did it. He thought that they were from my company. So he showed, when he sent me pictures this morning, it was like of sections like this that didn't get, done as part of the basketball court, and was wondering, like, hey, like, why aren't the cracks filled? Like, why didn't you guys do that too? And I said, well, I told you we're gonna do them at the same time that we do the cracks on the other side. And he's like, yeah, but your guys were already here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, no, we weren't. And then at the same time, I got Ricky. Ricky's reaching out to me, and he's like, Rye, it's all done. The cracks are already done. The paint's already done. I'm like, no way. So I reached back out to the guy, and the guy's like, no, you guys came. Didn't you guys come last Friday and do it? And I'm like, no, we didn't come last Friday and do it. And he's like, no, you got to be kidding me. Like, who did it then? And I'm like, I don't fucking know who did it. You know, like, we had to come and refill like this, which we did. But that's pretty much like all we had to do, you know? So it's like, now what? You know? Like, I thought this was like a bad joke. Like, I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? So they're like, yeah, we're here. I'm telling you, Rye, I'm looking at the court. The court is done. And it's not done well. So I called Jeff back and I said, hey, my guys are around the corner. Can you go talk to them? He said, yeah, sure. So he goes over and talks to him. And he's like, yeah, like, I thought you guys did this. Like, I was a little disappointed because you guys said that you were going to, do something cool and creative with it. But I just thought, like, oh, maybe they didn't have time or they didn't have enough leftover material. And I was a little disappointed with why the quality on the basketball court was so much better than the quality on this court. But now it's all making sense to me. And I'm like, yeah, like, I get it. It's making sense to me now, too. And he's like, yeah, we just assumed that it was you guys that did it. He's like, I wasn't here that Friday when they actually came to do the painting. So I just showed up on Monday and saw it was done and just figured it was you guys. And I was like, yeah, well, it wasn't us. So I go, it had to be New England Seal Coating. And he's like, well, I didn't fucking hire them. And he's pissed at this point. Like, the last conversation I had with them was in July. And it was through email. And we were talking about scheduling. And they told me that they weren't going to be able to get here. So he's like, we're talking fiscal budget 22. Like, or 21. Or it was right around COVID. So he's like, I don't have a PO for this. Like, I'm not paying. I don't even think I can pay them. He's like, we didn't want them to do it. We wanted you to do it. And now the principal is asking, can we still come and do it and fix this? And I told him, like, listen, like, granted, you didn't get the best job. My guys came here today. They felt like $1 million when they left here because they saw that this is what is passing for acceptable work. Ricky's like, yeah, it makes me feel a lot better about the little stuff that we fuck up on, So it looks like they just coated it with acrylic. There's no sand in this whatsoever. They did the stenciling. They did it all by hand. They painted the numbers by hand. They are very rough looking. Not so much like these. They just look rough. So this is what is passing for acceptable work. But in my opinion, it's far from acceptable, and they are not happy with it themselves. So I really don't know, like, what will come of it other than us maybe coming back in the spring to fix it after these cracks have opened back up. Oh, look, this one's already opened up. you know? So, yep, pretty lame. Look at the hairline's opening right up on this again. So, when you're trying to find a contractor, this is the stuff. These are the little things that matter. Okay? Because you don't know what you got until it's gone. Luckily for these guys, they're probably not going to pay for this because they didn't have a budget for it. They don't have a PO, and unfortunately with municipal work without a PO, you're not getting paid. So, yeah. Stay tuned.